Hi everyone, welcome to the last pathway session for this year. Very happy to have with me today Gary Owen Kenrin, who's going to guide us through the stillness session. Ashley King and Daphne Noonan, who are going to guide us through a fantastic block on person-centered care and person-centered planning. When we were planning this session, we thought we're really going to struggle to get this into 30 minutes, and we'd do each topic an unfairness if we tried to actually do it. So we're going to ask for your dispensation and overrun a little bit, 10, maybe 15 minutes even today. If you can't stay for the whole session, sorry, but we will share the recording and break it down into time-stamped blocks so that you can take a look afterwards. Now, enough from me, over to Gary.
Thank you, Azad, and welcome everybody. In this series, I invite you to expand the story that you're living and discover that stillness really works. In each session, I'll begin by speaking about what stillness is and why it's so vital to our lives. Then I'll invite you to join me in a stillness practice. So let's begin by exploring what we can say about stillness. I'd like to begin with a reminder. In previous sessions, I shared how our overemphasis on doing, meaning controlling, fixing, and managing problems, even with the right intentions to do the right thing as caring people professionally and personally, is leading us to experience burnout, mental, physical, and spiritual. We all need stillness to bring balance to our lives. We could call it a marriage of being and doing. You're still doing your work and living your life, but with a new component. Over time, with stillness practice, you will find you are better able to deal with change, be more resilient, and not be overwhelmed. You will find that the practice spills over into your daily life. There are many pathways to stillness. I invite you to check out our previous sessions where I give examples of pathways and talk more about the nature of stillness. I also invite you to read my book, Pathways to Stillness, Reflect, Release, Renew. There are suggested further readings at the end of this book. Stillness practice is core care. It's not an add-on. Rather, it's necessary for us to bring stillness to caring for others. I think the example of the oxygen mask is very appropriate here, which you may have heard before. On an airplane, we are told to place the mask on ourselves before helping another passenger. Stillness with another, or you could call it care partnering, involves kindness and compassion, simple acceptance, and being present. Listening with words or feelings, or even a look. Both partners benefit from this stillness, or you could call it a soul connection. If you can manage to be present, even for a short time, all seems to be well. You may feel that there is nothing to do and nowhere to go. Life is okay just as it is. It's interesting to note that the Dalai Lama calls himself the most selfish person he knows, due to the benefit he gets from helping out of compassion. However, he also suggests that we help or care out of compassion and not guilt or not trying to save the world, to fix everything. We cannot do it all. One more thought is that stillness is natural. It's our home, but it's covered over by busyness, and tension. I don't know about you, but I need to be reminded of this over and over again. Besides the ones mentioned in the previous sessions, I'd like to add another pathway to stillness for your consideration. Humor is a very effective pathway. You may notice that a good joke, even a lame joke, stops your monkey mind and brings you to the present moment, where stillness resides. You could say we laugh before we think. Speaking of jokes, have you heard of the one about the fisherman and the magician? What did the fisherman say to the magician? Pick a cod, any cod. Or another one I like is, my boss told me to have a good day, so I went home. Now I would like you to join me in a stillness practice based on Tai Chi. We need to keep it simple so that I know, speaking for myself, I'll be more likely to practice. It's important to have no expectations from this practice, as that is more doing or achieving. Stillness comes and goes. Also, you do not need to get it right. There's nothing to achieve. Just be with it and relax. If you do not have any time, start with stealing 2 minutes for yourself or 5 minutes. It's best to practice for a short time more often, but do whatever works for you. You may try one or both of the movements I'm going to show you, whatever works for you without creating more stress in your life. However, the Buddhist teacher Thich Nhat Hanh recommends that if you really have no time, you should practice twice. This is because you may think that you are doing nothing and wasting your time, but paradoxically, you relax and you find you can do more with less energy and have more focus. In our following sessions, I'll repeat these movements and provide you with additional, more detailed guidelines. If you follow the series, you'll deepen your understanding of the practice, but you'll not lose out if you're here for the first time. You may practice these movements either from a standing or seated position. So I'm just going to move my chair out of the way and invite you to join me for the movements. Sorry, we're live here. We have a little adjustment to make with my glasses. Okay, again, you can be standing or seated. And call this first movement, it's called movement in stillness, or Wu Qi, standing meditation position. And what I'd ask you to do, it's movement in stillness because we're standing still, but we're going to activate the Qi, which is the energy in Tai Chi that leads you to calm down and relax and get into the present moment. So you just want to put one thumb in your navel, and the palm beneath it, of course, and the other hand on top. And then I'd like you to relax your knees, soften your knees a bit, drop your hips, put your tongue lightly at the roof of your mouth, and otherwise your shoulders and back are just in a natural position. What I'm going to ask you to do is just breathe in, pressing gently under the navel as you breathe in. So take a nice breath and then release and allow your stomach to expand as you breathe out. Okay, so just gently, don't force anything. I don't want you to pull any muscles, but as you can, press underneath the navel, full breath, and let the breath out. Allow your stomach to expand. Okay, let's try a couple of those, a couple more of those. So press gently underneath, nice breath, and relax, let the stomach out. Once you've got this movement down and you're practicing it at home, you could close your eyes and do it as well. You could also have some nice, peaceful, very peaceful music to go along with it. So let's try a couple more of those without me talking. Just in and out. Okay, and now I'd like you to, in a continuation of this movement, I'd like you to make a soft fist and just have your arms hanging by your side. And here you don't have your hand on your navel, but just try to picture the breath coming in and out of the stomach area. Again, don't force anything, just follow your breath in and follow it out. And then go up around your forehead and your eyes and picture everything relaxing and releasing in that area. So just picture the breath going up into that forehead and eyes area. Then go down to your mouth and your jaw and let your mouth fall open a little bit. Relax your jaw and picture your breath coming into that area. Many of us have a lot of tension in that area of our body. This can help you with that. And then go to your heart and just picture the breath coming into the heart area. And then go back to your breath below the navel, simply following it in, following it out. Okay, good. The second movement is called the wave. And with the same basic position, which is knees relaxed, hips dropped, tongue lightly at the roof of the mouth, and your feet are about shoulder width. And then I'll ask you to turn your palms out. Try to relax your elbows a little bit and relax your shoulders. And take a nice deep breath with your palms up, about shoulder height. Turn over, float back down as you breathe out. Just do it with your own breathing. Don't force anything, but just try to coordinate breath as you come up, turn over, float back down. One other little detail is try to put some energy into the palms of your hands, like you're stretching the palms, but don't totally go rigid. So nice breath. From the stomach, if you can, turn over, float back down. Again, turn the palms out. Float the palms up, turn over, and gently, you might even press down a little bit into the air. One more time. Up, turn over, and float back down. So you might notice that you get relaxed from this. As you do this more, your breathing will get deeper and slower, and you'll get deeper and deeper into the relaxation. It's cumulative, so you try it, and you might go back the next day or the day after, and you'll find that it becomes more and more familiar, and you become more and more relaxed. So thank you very much, and I'll say namaste as they do in yoga, and back to Razib.
Thanks, Gary. Thank you. That was wonderful. I'm just going to share my screen again for a moment because I want to mention that I found it really helpful to read the book. So absolutely, this stuff really works the more you do it. This is core care. You're helping your own core physiology by consciously breathing, using the techniques that Gary has just shown, along with very conscious, gentle movements. If you can find moments before work, when you know you're going into a really busy day, during breaks, in the car before you get home and walk into a busy household, just take moments for yourself, show love for yourself, and just take these moments of rest and stillness. It can really take you a long way and help you to find calm and perspective at times when you're really being pulled in different directions. Now, I'm going to stop talking and hand over to Ashley, who's going to introduce us to a really lovely blog on person-centered care.
Thanks, Razib, and thank you, Gary. Now that we have all had the opportunity to be a little bit more settled, and as Gary shares in most of his videos, or in most of these sessions, our monkey minds have calmed a bit. Now it's time for us to focus and really truly focus on how we can look at person-centered care planning for 2022. So we often think of person-centered care as a significant undertaking. And that requires many people, processes, and lots of time to involve the entire team, especially for those of us in leadership. And the definition of person-centered care really isn't straightforward, so that makes it difficult as well. And so while true person-centered care is achieved by embedding both the philosophies and the practices into the culture, in this session, we're really going to seek to ground ourselves in the basic principles of what is person-centered care. So really, what are those foundational or core principles for us to be able to focus on and set ourselves up for 2022? And as we all know, those of us who are working in long-term and care settings and healthcare settings, life in our worlds and our organizations has changed drastically since March of 2020. I'm sure for those of you who are working directly with residents and those who are leading organizations, you're trying to figure out how to get back to center. I know I am. And really, how do I reignite, or how do we reignite those person-centered care practices and the positive culture that we've been experiencing prior to, the infection control protocols and maintaining the safety of our residents that have become paramount over the past 20 months. So today is really about, as I said, bringing back person-centered care to the basics. We, Daphne and I, in Person-Centered Universe, follow the late Dr. Tom Kitwood, who really is, seen as one of the grandfathers of person-centered care. And he believes that person-centered care is a values-based framework in which we individualize and value each person, regardless of their age or health status. They're all people. It emphasizes how we as care partners and leadership put ourselves in the shoes of the person who's living with dementia. And it highlights the value and the true importance of building relationships to support your residents and staff within care settings. So the three core values, and we'll get into the flower in a minute, but the three easy takeaways for you today. Person-centered care is focused around relationships. Person-centered care is focused around valuing each person, and it's about providing individualized approaches. So relationships, valuing each person, and providing individualized approaches. Having these values embed in us the importance of supporting the emotional well-being of our residents and our clients, patients. So building on the support of their physical needs that we do wonderful jobs at, and providing good medical care, person-centered care at its core is really about honoring the person and understanding their unique experiences. And for those of you who attended the session in October, those unique experiences, or our own unique experiences, were highlighted in the houses exercise. We did that narrative exercise. And so, and how we journey through life, how our residents journey through life. When someone's living with dementia, as care providers, it's important we provide a supportive environment that engages our residents and clients in the following 5 domains of well-being. And you'll see them highlighted here on the slide, circled around the flower as the petals of the flower. Comfort is the provision of warmth and closeness to others. So it's kind of like how we feel when we see someone we know in a room full of strangers, that warmth and comfortable feeling. Identity, so to know who you are and how you feel about yourself and how you think. And so often this is really disjointed for our residents living with dementia, especially when language fades and memory becomes harder to affirm, right? We're losing a lot of who are we. Attachment, so we innately as humans are social and we need to feel attached to others. And what's really interesting, especially with our residents and clients living with dementia, we need to feel attached to others, particularly during times of heightened anxiety and change. So we need to know that we have somebody to support us, somebody to be alongside of us. Occupation is about being involved in the process of life. Have you ever said to yourself, oh my gosh, I've been useless today? I said it last night to my partner. I haven't done anything to help you today. I didn't do the dishes. I didn't cook supper. We want to make an impact on the world, and we want to provide and care and support the people around us. So occupation is really about being involved in that process in some way or another. When we speak about inclusion, it's about being a part of a group and how important to us as individuals it is. And so when you think about our residents and clients who are living with dementia, they're at a much greater risk of being socially isolated due to the symptoms that they exhibit because of their dementia. And lastly, you see love at the center of the flower. When we honor and understand how our residents and clients are experiencing these domains of well-being, and at its core, love, which is the central, which is really truly central to well-being. The feeling that our residents receive unconditional acceptance and forgiveness from us as care providers is really that foundational and paramount piece in providing person-centered care. So we can talk about a lot, but again, if we think about at its core, love, forgiveness, unconditional acceptance, and that feeling of security and trust and support from those of us working in long-term care really solidifies and foundationally is at the core of person-centered care. So now Daphne's going to lead you through having that information and having this beautiful flower. Daphne's going to lead us through a very similar exercise to last month.
Hi, everyone. So it's nice to be back, and thank you, Ashley. That was wonderful. So you will recall that during the last session, we introduced this two-part goal setting exercise. And in the first part, we invited you to focus on goals that are personal to yourself and to your own self-care. And now today, we want to encourage you to focus on the same 4 categories, but pertaining to your work in care settings. And more specifically, we encourage you to consider setting intentions related to person-centered care practices. So in a moment, I'm going to take just a few seconds and review the categories for you. And then I'm going to ask you to take a few moments of quiet reflection to set these intentions. So first, a short overview of each category. And you will notice as I'm speaking about the categories that this time we're going to share some examples on the screen to help focus your thinking as you are reflecting. So we want to encourage you to focus on reflecting in the following areas. Things that you want to keep doing. So meaning things that you are satisfied with how they are going in your person-centered care practice. Things you want to do more of. This would be things that you wish you were doing a little bit better or a bit more consistently, perhaps. Things that you wish to stop doing. So these would be things kind of like what Ashley referenced, things that maybe are taking up your energy and helping to feel overwhelmed, things that you feel are really no longer serving you in terms of your care practices. And things you want to start doing. So things that you really want to be able to make space for, and you have had all the best of intentions to make space to weave certain things into care practices as we have navigated the last 20 months of the ongoing demands of the pandemic. So now I'm going to give you 2 minutes to jot down some ideas in each of these categories. It's very good to take just a shorter time frame for something like this because we don't then use our thinking brain too much and we tap into our intuition. And that's really what it's all about. It's to help us feel grounded in, what our gut is telling us in terms of what is best. So are you ready to reflect on these questions? If so, you can start now. Okay, so I'm going to ask folks to slowly come back from your reflection. So thank you so much for engaging in that reflection with us. And I guess I would just like to conclude our final session for Pathways, my portion for 2021. I would like to conclude by suggesting to you all that you simply take that exercise and put it in your toolkits. And as 2022 begins, perhaps create an intentional action to pull it out regularly. Maybe you want to renew your list or add new items when you're just feeling a need to get a bit more grounded. You might be surprised at how the simple act of just writing it down and intentionally reviewing it every so often will begin to affect a very gradual transformation in your daily habits and your daily practices without even realizing. Thank you so much, everyone. And I hope you have a wonderful 2022.
Wow, thanks, Stephanie. It was really great. I wanted to mention that both Ashley and Daphne were in their very busy schedules this week, worked with their team members. I think that's dietitian, activity director, I forget now. So anyway, I'm not doing an injustice, a group of people. And so these are the things that are on a number of different people's minds in terms of what they would like to keep doing, do more of, stop doing, and start doing. We've, trimmed the list down a little bit here. What we'll do afterwards is when we share the recording, we'll also share different responses in little blocks, just to help you also think about what might kind of be good food for thought, fuel for your ideas, as it were. I want to thank you both for making this effort to do this week, because I know it's really busy. All right. Let's see. Okay, so just a few words about next year. So what we've seen over the last 3 sessions that we've done this year is that more and more people are just registering, which is really lovely to see the intention and the interest grow. We're not really marketing that much, but it seems to be kind of spreading and people sharing. We're noticing also that the emails we send are being shared amongst teams afterwards, and that's really great. What we're noticing is that while registrations are growing, the number of people who can take part in the sessions each time is going up and down. And that makes sense, when you're busy, it's something that you try to squeeze in. So what I want to do now is I'll raise the question, but we'll ask it in the email and you can just respond, is to say, maybe a different time of day works best for you. Maybe mornings, lunchtime isn't that good, or maybe end of day. So we just take a little bit of a straw poll, and maybe that helps us decide when is a good time to hold, or the best time among everyone to hold the sessions. And another question that we have in our minds is that we realize that, I find it really powerful the way that Gary delivers these stillness practices. It's such natural and authentic authority. It's really empowering, but of course it's only just once a month, and sometimes once a month isn't enough to kind of keep you motivated and doing something throughout a month. So I guess I'm selling it a bit too much already. I wondered whether it's worthwhile you receiving reminders through a month, once or twice a month or something, and whether that would actually help you to remember and keep up with these practices. So that's something else that we'll put as a question in the email that goes out with the recording. And I'd be very interested to hear what you guys think, and maybe you have other ideas, and they're all very welcome. So next year we'll go ahead with the sessions each month, every Thursday, last Thursday of the month. And we're going to ask you now for a little bit of input from you to just see what's the best way to do it going forward. Let me think. we have, oh, just a last slide. Now, thanks so much. It's really a pleasure to host these sessions and have the privilege of working with Gary, with Ashley and Daphne, and Rachel and Carl, who you're not seeing on the screen, but they're also here helping. Thank you. Have a very great Christmas and New Year, and we look forward to catching up with you next year. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Happy holidays.
Yeah.